Hey guys, this is the Real Estate Podcast, and this is your host, yours truly, Matt Teifke. Real quick, before we dive in, if you don't mind, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We want to get the message out that real estate can be for everybody. We want to share the entrepreneurship that we're learning along our journey. So before we dive into the episode, please make sure you share with your friends, and we want to continue to add value. So thank you guys, and let's dive right into the episode.
Pieces of wisdom I'll impart. One is figure out what actually matters as far as generating revenue. Like, what are the revenue generating activities in real estate? People are like, well, let me go and make a website. Let me go and print business cards. And let me go and do this and do that, and blah, 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 and go and review homes and meet with contract. None of those are revenue generating activities. You know what's a revenue generating activity? Making offers, right? Not underwriting deals, making offers, okay? Not walking and handling due diligence. It's making offers is actually a revenue generating activity.
All right, we are live. This is the Real Estate Podcast. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. We have a special guest, Tim Bratz. Thank you so much, man, for coming on. We're super excited.
To be here.
Yeah, we were just talking a little bit before and getting me all jacked up. Closed on 200 units yesterday, closing on 200 units a week from now, another 200 units, bought an island, all kinds of cool stuff. So we'd like to just dive in, man, and try to provide as much value as we possibly can. If it's all right with you, could you give us like a quick overview of your career and how you got to the point where you are today? And we'll just kind of dive in with some questions and see where it takes us.
Yeah, man. Well, again, I appreciate you guys having me and all the value you guys are putting out there. High level on me is, I was going through college when the market was going crazy last time. So 03 to 07, I'm in college, got involved in real estate more in the trades, had a painting company, and then I interned for a big home builder and just realized there was a lot of money in real estate. And that's kind of what motivated me back then. So I got my real estate license, moved out to New York City, got my real estate license and started brokering real estate on the commercial side, retail leases, office leases, things like that, and brokered a few deals. And I was like, dang, I need to be on the ownership side of real estate, not the brokerage side of real estate. There's way more money in owning it. So I couldn't afford anything in New York, moved down to Charleston, South Carolina in 2008. And just went through that whole analysis paralysis phase, man, just studying everything, watching all the YouTube videos and all the bloggers and vloggers and podcasts and all that stuff. And, right when I was about to dive in, it was like the end of 2008 and the whole market collapses, right? So everybody's like, run from real estate, don't do it, don't touch it. And I was like, damn, I just showed up to the party and everybody's running out the back door. But it was kind of cool because all these houses hit the market that were like legit pennies on the dollar, pennies. Houses that a couple, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 multifamily properties, right? And I was like, oh, this is amazing. It was very different than the market is today. Today, there's money everywhere and deals are harder to come by. Back then, deals were everywhere and money was a lot harder to come by. So we had to be creative with our acquisition strategies and put creative financing in place. And I used a lot of private money and I bought my first house on my credit card and just very, very, unconventional ways of structuring deals. And so built up a little bit of a portfolio, chased some shiny objects, had successes, had failures, back and forth, up and down quite a bit for a few years there. And just kind of fell into some larger multifamily. I bought my first apartment building in 2012. That was an 8-unit building. And I just liked the scale of it. It met my goals and my ambitions and aligned with that much better than doing residential. So I've done it all, man. I've wholesaled, I've flipped, I've done turnkey. I built up a big management company. I got into office. I've had retail. I've had storage facilities. I've had ground up new construction developments, but really apartments is my thing. So really started focusing on apartments about a little over 4 years ago. And today I'm at, I was up to 4,800 doors earlier part of this year, but I sold off almost 1,000. So I'm hovering right around 4,000 doors right now, about $400 million portfolio, and just kind of trimming the fat, getting rid of the C-class stuff, getting rid of the smaller apartment buildings, taking a step back this year in order to take some big leaps forward next year and beyond. So it's kind of where I am now.
That's great, man. We love it. We support it and promote it. similar background. Built a management company, about 800 single family homes, sold it, done wholesaling, flipping, all of those things you mentioned, but never did office space, did retail, never did owning on the self-storage side. But we promote it. And what's cool, and Alex said this the other day, he's never actually bought a house on any kind of traditional financing. He's refinanced into those deals, but I don't know if this is relatively new. Maybe but it's amazing when you learn all the options that are out there to get things done. And I kind of fell into it by necessity. I couldn't get any loans when I was right out of college, and so I had to do these a little bit higher interest rate loans. But over time, you're like, man, these are really great tools to have. So it's cool to hear that background. One thing that
from a peace of mind standpoint, I just don't like dealing with all the paperwork and garbage with traditional loans, right?
Dude.
And it's such a slow process. I'm a let's go,
Yep.
let's take down more deals, and versus just trying to get the best rate on this one single deal. Like, I don't give a shit about that. I want to get set up for the next 50 deals, 100 deals. So I just want to take deals down, increase the balance sheet.
Yep.
And then I'll refinance into better debt down the road.
Yeah.
But right now, we're just going to move on deals. And that's always been my thing. And you can move way faster with private money than you can with traditional financing.
Yeah, 100% aligned on that. And like you can be more patient when you're refinancing because you're not going to lose the deal. Whereas just like what you said, I mean, on the same lines, it's like we've actually never been let down by a hard money lender. Like they've always, if they said they could close, maybe at the end, maybe it's a little bit more cash than we expected, but they still close. Where traditional, dude, those guys, they say they can get it done and then maybe they can't. And especially when you have stuff like you have or we have going on, making good money, you have assets, you think I'm a perfect borrower. And they're like, yeah, you're just too complicated. You don't fit into this box. We're like, damn.
I'm dealing with that right now, man, on my own primary residence. Right.
Dude, I just did it you've probably heard of this, I'm sure, but I spent like 6 months trying to refinance all of my properties. It was probably like 12 houses onto conventional, and they couldn't do it. And I found this guy that is private here in Austin, and you'll like these terms, I'm sure. It was 5 years interest only, and then 25-year fixed, but it was at the same rate for both terms. And it was 3.25% for 5 years interest only, and then it switched right into 3.5% on 25-year AM. And I did all mine, and I'm like, this is like
lender did that?
Yeah, I'm like, this is just as good as conventional.
It's way better than conventional because it's probably not on your credit report either, right? I don't know if you personally guaranteed it or not. Maybe, probably you would, but at least it's not on your credit report, so you can still go out and get more. Like I got over $200 million of loans on my credit, or not on my credit, but that I'm signed on, and none of it shows up on my credit report because it's all commercial,
Right.
So it's wild, but yeah, dude, I got 70 different entities, and a bunch of more value add apartment buildings. And so like my tax returns do not look good from 2018, 2019, 2020, because it's all been like during the value add phase. I bought distressed assets. I'm fixing them all up. We couldn't really turn over many of the units in 2020. So we're doing it now, right? So you're like, you take that to the bank. And even though I got cash in the bank and assets and money coming in, I have just as much money going out. It's back and forth all the time because I'm floating other deals and all sorts of stuff. So, it's just there needs to be a story behind it. And I'm like, oh man, it's easier for me to go and get a $20 million loan on the commercial side than it is for me to get a $3 million loan on a single family, on my single family house, dude. It's crazy.
Really weird, man. I wonder if things will ever change. Maybe like what I was just telling you about the loan I got, maybe that is the change. Because it's like, who cares about the
there's so much money that there's private money now just chasing yield. They just need to put it in play. They need some sort of return on their investment, so they don't need to have 6 or 7 or 8% anymore. They have so much money, and they're realizing, well, guess what? Competition is going to push interest rates down, and all these other borrowers can go over to this lender. Maybe I can charge them the same rate, make it easier, and they'll all come to me, and that guy will probably crush at those rates,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great find, man. I would hold on tight to him. See how many deals we can do with him,
We will. Let me know if you need the connection.
I would buy everything through that guy.
Yeah, we are.
With everything that you've done so far, you said that you've landed in apartments and you're an apartment guy. Why apartments over, everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. And I know people who have made millions and tens of millions in single family. I know people who have made tens of millions in all the different other commercial asset classes. For me, residential or apartments was an easy next step from going from residential. And I just became really good at it, right? Because I understood the leasing side of things. I understood the renovation side of things. I didn't like a triple net lease with one tenant. If the tenant moves out, it sits vacant for the next 2 years. I don't have that kind of cash to just sit, or at least I haven't up until really like over the past couple of years, to be able to sit on something for 2 years and have those holding costs without having a tenant in place. So that was always too risky for me. Retail shops, I just never liked because I watch Amazon, and Amazon's in business of taking retail off or out of brick and mortar and online. So like I always thought that was going to be a real shaky business. Office, you see a lot of people working remotely, and then COVID exacerbated that whole thing with everybody working remotely. And I saw that kind of happening. Any of the office buildings that I have are like micro offices for entrepreneurs, just like to throw a desk down. It's a couple hundred square feet. They can meet some clients, and that's about the extent of it. I don't own big office spaces. Storage, I like storage. It's just my team's built and understands multifamily, and we would have to go and learn. Every new asset class is a new learning curve. There's different nuances to management. There's different nuances to financing. There's different nuances to asset management, property management, renovations, all that stuff, zoning. So you just got to be aware of that kind of stuff. And my team is really, really dialed in on the multifamily side. And I just keep on pouring fuel on the fire. So dude, we're so good at it. We've done so many deals for such a long time, so much volume, that it's very, very hard for us to mess up a deal. Like we've seen it all. And because of that, every deal we do on multifamily becomes more profitable than any other asset class that we could potentially do, because we know there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's going to take us more time or more money on whatever those other asset classes are. So I just like multifamily, but there's no reason that you couldn't do, storage or office or retail or hospitality or something else, if you're buying the right deals, right? And you know how to manage those deals really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
On your team side of things, you're talking about your team's built and knows multifamily. What does your current team look like to be able to take down, 4, 6, however many hundreds of units you've taken down over this, past month or so?
Yeah, man.
What does your current team structure look like?
Yeah, good question. I like to run a pretty lean team. We have in our organization overall probably, we probably employ on W-2 status at least 150, 160 people. But majority of that is on the property level, meaning if we buy a 100-unit apartment building, we typically have a property manager, a leasing agent, and 2 maintenance people, right? So for every 100 units, we have about 4 employees. So on 1,000 units, we got about 40 employees. I have 4,000 units, probably have around 160 employees. So that's on a property level. On my investment team side, I'm the CEO. And then I have a COO, Chief Operating Officer. I have a Chief Investment Officer. I have an Acquisitions Director. And then there's like a project manager and a director of property management as well, and a director of asset management. So there's about, I don't know, what is that? It's really, there's 2, 3 main people on my executive board. And there's some high level management, about another 5 people that fall in there. So there's around 10 of us, I'd say, in the investment side that are all on salary in order to take down these deals and make sure that they're running the way that we need them to run.
That's cool. Do you have a personal assistant as well?
Yeah, so I used to, but I don't. Let her go about 2 years ago, and I never hired somebody else. I just have so many like high level people on my team that I just kind of funnel it off to them, and they handle everything now. But I still need somebody to just come in and just sift through all the email and all the garbage and stuff and social media, and just bring me like the most important type things. I've been thinking about this. It's kind of been pulling on me and tugging on me. So it's not a big enough of a pain point for me to go out and like actually, fix it. But it's something I definitely need to do first next year.
Yeah, we both pretty new at it. I probably had one for 6, 7 months. He's like 2 or 3. So that's why I asked. I'm just curious.
It's a game changer, dude. And for anybody who comes to me to like, who should my first hire be? It would be an assistant, right? It would be somebody to take all the non-revenue generating stuff off your plate so you can focus on the revenue generating stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be the first hire that I would make. is hand off everything under $100, $200, $500 an hour. Give it all to your assistant. You just focus on finding deals, raising money, and just rocking and rolling on that.
Cool. There's two things I'd like to kind of touch on and get move towards on the conversation. One is marketing. I know that you have a degree in marketing, and it seems like you're doing a great job. And then the other one would be a little bit of cryptocurrency and how you view some of that stuff. Can you kind of touch a little bit on maybe just how you view marketing, how you approach it, what it does for you, and things like that? Just teach us and our listeners like kind of all that kind of stuff.
Here's the thing, man. I think everything rises and falls on marketing and influence, right? I think that's how people buy. I think that's how people bring you deals. I think that's how people sell you deals. I think that's how people invest with you. If you have influence, then you can talk to sellers, you can talk to buyers, you can talk to agents, you can talk to investors, you can do everything that we do on a daily basis. It makes it that much easier. So I have a degree in marketing. I don't really deploy it. I don't remember anything from college. It was more of just like, okay, cool, check that box kind of a thing. Some of the pricing and branding stuff a little bit, but I just kind of fell into the social media side of things, which is how we got connected, So I was just talking about deals on social media, right? I truly didn't have any sort of intent with it other than let me just help people with their life. And I talked about, here's a deal that I just took down. Here's how I structured it. Here's how I found it. Let me walk through it with my contractor and show you all the different things that we've done to the property. And it started getting a lot of traction. And every time I posted, people would be like, dude, can I buy a deal from you? Can I sell a deal to you? Can we joint venture on a deal? Can I invest with you? Or do you coach? Do you consult? Can I pay you to train me on this stuff? And I realized there was a lot of value that came from, because that checked all the boxes that I needed in order to go out and do more deals, more deal flow, right? More buyer flow, more investor flow, and potential coaching, consulting type of income, which would turn into more deals and more investors as well, And so I just poured the fuel on that, man. I just kept on putting out more and more content. And it really wasn't until this year I hired a full-time videographer, actually 2 of them. And now I sit down for about 4 hours once a week, and we just rip out content, and then they deploy it over the course of the week. And we've consistently grown on Instagram, on TikTok. I just started a TikTok account this year, and we got 25, 30,000 followers on that. Instagram, we're up to about 45,000 followers, I want to say. And, YouTube, I had a few hundred, and it's hard to grow YouTube, but we're up to almost, 3,000 or something now in like 8-9 months. So it's cool to see that stuff grow. And as that grows, again, if you understand and you're creating content with value-driven content, trying to help people out, it creates a lot of trust in that relationship. And then people start bringing you deals, and they want a joint venture, and it's easier to raise money, and it's easier to hire people onto your team. Like I just posted 2 weeks ago that I was hiring somebody as an asset manager. And I was like, this is a rocket ship. This is a rocket ship taking off. Are you jumping on, or are you not jumping on? I need an asset manager who gets shit done, who can knock out work and do this and do that. And I was like, you can't complain. You cannot bring excuses. You need to take 100% ownership over your responsibilities. And I got 100 people hit me up saying, hey, I am the person for this job. I will take this on. I will do whatever because I'm paying salary, and they're going to get some equity in the deals. And people who have seen me and watched me, they've seen my team grow, and people on my team who have equity are worth 7 figures and 8 figures. And that's a huge opportunity, right? So it makes life easier for whatever you need, right? I remember when COVID hit and like the supply chains shut down, and I needed HVAC units and I needed appliances. I posted on social media and got a ton of appliances and HVAC units, So I think just the whole marketing piece, everybody should be working on that at all times. And you guys are doing a great job having a podcast and just kind of putting content out there and letting people know what you're doing, how you're doing it. And, dude, there's people a lot bigger than me who are doing more deals than I am. I'm just more vocal about it. And it goes back to kind of like, what I think about is Robert Kiyosaki, and he's Robert Kiyosaki's out and he's speaking at an event and they're talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And after the event, some woman comes up to him at the end. She's like, oh my gosh, this is such an honor to meet you. I can't believe you're a New York Times bestselling author. It's so amazing. Like, where did you learn to write? I'm an English professor and I've been studying literature my entire life, and just my dream to write a bestselling New York Times bestseller. And he's like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes, lady. He goes, I'm a best-selling author, not a best writing author. And she's like offended by it, because she's like in the arts and the art of literature and all these things. And that's a very profound lesson in that, dude, it doesn't matter. Not saying you should put out bad content, right? But I'm saying whoever the best marketer is usually takes the market share, right? Whoever's best at marketing gets the most in sales. And if you have good content, you have good value that you offer, dude, that is a snowball effect that will grow your influence substantially. So if you get great at marketing and you have great content, dude, like the world is your oyster.
It's great, man. I love it. Yeah, we've taken a big focus on them. We have 4 full-time people, and appreciate you saying that. And it's just good, good to soak that in. And I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, validates a lot of things that you guys are doing. So just keep doing it, man. You're going to be amazed at what this looks like 12, 24, 36 months from now. It's not about, it's about consistency, right? Consistency. And it's like, just consistently put value out there and consistently, what's up, buddy?
Hey, bud. Yeah, we hear you. That's awesome. And let's get a little into crypto if you're cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got a fund, you're raising capital, and you're talking a little bit about having crypto aligned where people can kind of easily, get in or get out of deals, which I totally understand. And it's kind of like a REIT in some sense, but it's more private and probably quicker and forward thinking. So how are you viewing crypto in the space and kind of implementing that into everything that you're doing?
Yeah. So because I have some influence on social media, and I think the lowest hanging fruit for me is really, there's a lot of people in my space that want to invest in real estate or want to invest in crypto, but they don't have the insights. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience. They don't know how to open up a wallet. They don't want to look and watch the coins going up and down in value and all that stuff. They just want to put the money with somebody and then allow them, hang on, bud. They just want to put the money with somebody and then allow somebody else to deploy it just so they could say they have 100 grand or 10 grand or 50 grand into cryptocurrency. So go with mom, bud. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. Hey, we got kids. I got 2 kids at home.
So essentially the lowest hanging fruit for me is I have people knocking on my door, seeing me not as just the real estate expert, but more of like a personal finance guy and like the cash flow guy and the wealth building guy and the entrepreneurship guy. And so they're like, hey man, what would you do with crypto? And so it gives them a solution to what their needs are, right? They don't have to do anything other than write a check one time to this entity. We will go and deploy all the money into a whole bunch of different coins. It'll be diversified over many different coins. It'll be dollar cost averaged over several months. We'll buy on the dips and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and it allows me to now get heavier into an industry without, I'm going to put my own cash into it too, but let's say I don't want to deploy $2 million of my own money and I just want to put 200 grand of my own money in. It allows me to deploy it and then arbitrage off of the gains of other people as well, right? So they're able to come in. Essentially what we're going to do is pay them essentially double their money in 5 years. And then everything above that, we're probably going to split some sort of equitable manner. But it allows me to then, help them make more money. I'm not taking any fees, acquisition fees, raising fees, asset management fees, or anything. I only get paid off of the gains after they double their money. And I think that's a pretty easy conversation and a pretty easy sell to get people to invest in the fund. So it's, and I'm setting the expectation. You got to have a 5-year time horizon. So that way people aren't like, Bitcoin fell by 20%. And dude, that's going to be natural. But I truly believe cryptocurrency is going in one direction, man. And that's straight up. You see, PayPal is offering a wallet now. El Salvador last month just made it the national currency of El Salvador. And there's many other countries in line wanting to use cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency as their national currency. I know for a fact that all the major, SEC, Secret Service, IRS are all putting divisions in place, or either have divisions or they're putting divisions in place, to try to regulate this industry, which means if they're giving it attention, it's actually something, right? It's got some substance to it. You see JP Morgan investing tens of millions of dollars. You see Charles Schwab and Morgan Stanley is the other one, investing tens of millions of dollars into cryptocurrency. And dude, I think we're in the first 5 to 10% of this whole thing. And I think it's, again, once it gets into Target and Amazon and Walmart, dude, it's game over, right? And so I'd rather be on the forefront of it. And I think we got big gains over the course of the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, completely agree, man.
So that's the low-hanging fruit. The other thing that I'm doing is what you guys mentioned, which is the tokenization of a syndication. Meaning, right now, I raise money from people. They have to stroke a check for $100,000. They're not going to see that money again for another 3 to 5 years. They make some sort of return on their money, and then they get their money back whenever we refinance or sell. And if we just refinance, then they get their money back, and then they get some cash flow in perpetuity. By tokenizing a syndication, somebody can come in with a couple hundred, or $2,000 or $500, and they can buy a portion of a token in that deal and have liquidity in and out of it, and still get a preferred return on their money. And as the property appreciates in value, that token goes up in value as well. So the tokenization aspect of it is really, really unique, where now, dude, you can really raise money from a lot of different people on a smaller level and build that trust, build that confidence in a way that doesn't paralyze me and my team on the paperwork side of things, right? Because the reason we have $100,000 minimum is because there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of engagement and conversation and all this other stuff and answering questions that goes in to raising money. By tokenizing this thing, it eliminates those conversations. It eliminates the paperwork on that side of things. They're coming in, they're buying a token, they understand exactly what it's backed by or what it's not backed by, and what the risks are or aren't. And they come in, and it's just, I think it's for us at least, it's a natural next step for raising capital on some of these large projects. So I'm super pumped on that. The investment fund is just really like the low-hanging fruit for me right now. I'm going to launch that and deploy all that money probably by the end of the year. And then the tokenization is the natural next step. So Q1 of 2022, we'll have that going. And then we're looking at some other pretty unique and pretty cool stuff as well. But yeah, man, I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah, it's cool. They had a blockchain summit in Austin 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it was interesting because the guys that were there, they were true real estate guys. Like, these are guys that have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. And they're buying a lot of these retail strip centers and stuff. And they're thinking about it. And it's not like what people perceive. And I'm a believer in crypto, but there's people that perceive it a certain way. And it's like, when you see people like that, or like you, that are, knowing what they're doing, but then trying to just implement it, it takes it to a different perspective of like, okay, this is just a tool that these people are using alongside of like their own knowledge and actual
what they're already an authority or expert at.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I know that I'm not going to be the crypto expert, because I'm not day trading all day, 18 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week for the past 5 years. I'm the guy who looks at it from hey, let me allocate 5% or 10% of my portfolio to cryptocurrency, diversify across many different coins and blah, 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 and this and that. Like, that feels good to me, right? And then how do I marry up the growth in crypto with something I'm already an expert at, and how do we make that work? I think there's going to be a lot, and I think that's the smartest way to go about it, right? I don't think I'm not going to come in like a cowboy and start shooting from the hip and gunslinging and all that stuff, man. I'm looking to do it the most. How can I lean on my credibility that I already have in real estate, and then go and raise capital in an easier way for other people to invest in my deals, and easier way for me to raise that money?
Yeah, you're not trying to come in and create your own coin. You're trying to just use it in your current business.
Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting stuff, man. It's cool to see like all the growth, and dude, I got some buddies who are heavy into it, like 8 figures into it, and all in on their net worth, not just like 10% of it or 5% or whatever.
Me too.
Like, dude, they are all in on this stuff, and but they're kind of rolling the dice. They're thinking certain coins are going to take off, and this pulse chain is going to go crazy, and like all this other stuff. And dude, I hope they do, because then they're going to be billionaires, and then they're going to fund all my deals, right? So
no, I hear you.
Dude, I truly believe, I think real estate is an amazing base. But I can only take a $10 million building and make it worth 13 or 14 million bucks. You know what I mean? I can't make a $10 million building worth $200 million. And you can take 2 million bucks in crypto and make it worth $200 million in 5 years, dude. That's a very realistic thing. You're not talking about 6 to 10% return on investment. You're talking about, 6,000%, 2,000% return on investment. Like, there's substantial gains that could be made there. And I think it's just, there's too much upside to not allocate at least a certain percentage of your net worth to that, because the downside risk is, I think it's just overshadowed substantially by all the potential upside on it.
Yeah. Well, also, even on I think along those lines is like, I'm not a huge believer in like what we're doing with the dollar and the dollar becoming worth less. That's why we like real estate. And so you almost, even regardless of the upside, you almost need to own some for the downside. Like, if the dollar becoming worth nothing, like have some in crypto.
Dude, it is between real estate, crypto, and emerging markets. Those are the best ways to hedge inflation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm heavy into real estate and I'm heavy into crypto. I don't care what happens with inflation, because everything else is going to go up.
Yeah.
That I own.
How did you, one thing I wanted to touch on, you said you were in that analysis process. How did you get out of that stage?
Taking action, realizing I wasn't going to learn how to swim by reading about swimming in a book, right? You got to actually jump in the water if you want to learn how to swim. And that's the same thing with real estate, dude. You can't just read about real estate in a book. You got to go and take action. Whenever somebody comes, like, dude, how do you just, what do you do here? Like, dude, you're asking me questions on chapter 8. Your chapter 1 needs to go buy a friggin' building. Go and buy a house. I don't care what it is. I don't care how good of a deal it is. Just go and buy a rental property and fix it. Well, it's $100,000 investment. What if I lost 100 grand? Dude, first of all, you're not going to lose 100 grand, right? The way the market is right now, you can turn it around. You can sell it for 90,000 if you had to fire sale it. And really, you're only risking $10,000. You know what I mean? So like, it's not $100,000 investment like people think that they're risking. They're really risking a small fraction of what that is. And you're going to learn way more from that, potential $10,000 loss than you would by investing in a $10,000 course, right? And I have $10,000 masterminds and that stuff, which I'd love to sign people up for, but I would rather see them go and do a deal. And then when they have that basis of knowledge, then come to me and I can help them scale from there.
Amen. I love it, dude. Well, before we get you out of here, you've given us a lot of good advice already. What would you say, a couple pieces of advice for people looking to get started? When you're first hearing this stuff and you're new to the business, it kind of sucks when you hear people doing all these deals, because you're like, oh, I'm never going to get there. But you can, and you will. It's just like you said, you got to get started and realize it's a long game. Like, I've been doing this for 13 years, and everything you're saying, I know it's all legit. I feel the same way. Mm-hmm. But what would you say? Like, what's some good advice you have for people that are trying to get started, that care about this and want to go change their life? Like, what are some one-liners or things that you find extremely important?
Yeah, man. I think so. There's a couple pieces of wisdom I'll impart. One is figure out what actually matters as far as generating revenue. Like, what are the revenue generating activities in real estate? People are like, well, let me go and make a website. Let me go and print business cards, and let me go and do this and do that, blah, 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 and go and review homes and meet with contractors. None of those are revenue generating activities. What's a revenue generating activity? Making offers, right? Not underwriting deals, making offers. Okay. Not walking and handling due diligence. It's making offers is actually a revenue generating activity. Not closing deals. Closing deals is the goal, but you can't really control some of that. There's title issues that'll pop up. There's, whatever could happen. There's a lot of different moving parts that could make a deal go south. What you can control is how many offers you make on a daily basis.
We were making 60 each a day.
Love it.
6 months. Like, we're just going back and forth. I'd copy him. He'd copy me. We're just cranking them out, man.
Good, dude. And that's all that matters. That's why you guys have deal flow and other people don't, right? Because other people are like, well, I underwrote 6 deals today. Great. You didn't do anything that generates revenue. So no wonder you don't have any deal flow coming through the pipe, right? Like you need to be making offers. Making offers is the only thing that matters. And then a ratio will appear based on how many offers you make to how many deals actually close, right? So you make 100 offers a week and that's 400 offers a month and you close on 4 deals, then essentially for every 100 offers you make, you get 1 deal, right? So if you want to close on 8 deals next month, you just need to make 800 offers. And so now that becomes like a predictability to your business, and you can quantify, what you're going to achieve based on following those metrics. So you got to measure that stuff and pay attention to those numbers. So number 1 is, what are the revenue generating activities? It's making offers and raising money. I'd be talking to 10 private money lenders every day. Hey, I got deal flow. Are you looking to deploy some money? What does that look like? When we talk, and just kind of plant those seeds, which then leads into my number 2, which is you got to have a long-term commitment, right? You've been doing this for 13 years. I've been in the real estate industry for 16 years, investing for 12, 13 years as well, right? And I can assure you that you got it. This is not a get rich quick. It is a get wealthy for sure. But it's going to take a little bit of time, right? If you put your head down and you're like, I'm going to try this out for 12 months and see if it works, I can assure you, you're going to have a fail. You're going to fail, right? Because first of all, anything lukewarm doesn't accomplish shit. You got to be white hot about making this happen or not making it happen. Real estate's not an experiment. I promise you it works. It's been the greatest generator of wealth for the past 2,000 years. And I wouldn't do anything unless you gave a 3-year commitment. Right? First year is planting those seeds. It's just learning everything, talking to the people, figuring out who the movers and shakers are, developing the resources, the connections, the contractors, the private money lenders, the brokers, the deal sourcers, the bird dogs, all that stuff, right? Year 2 is really cultivating the relationships and learning a little bit more about that process. It's not until year 3 that you really start harvesting, right? And start having the success, and it becomes a little bit easier. And I can assure you that every year that you do this business, it becomes easier because you've been doing it longer, you have better relationships, you've gone through more learning curves, right? And so like we become more and more profitable every single year that we do this business than we did the year before, like by an exponential
on
factor.
all levels, right? Relationships,
all
money,
levels.
yeah.
Everything, right? Everything's easier. So the longer you stick with it, the more money you're going to make. Not just because you've been with it longer, but it starts compounding, and this compound effect sets in of just compounding success on all aspects of the business. So dedicate minimum 3 years to the business and focus on the revenue generating activities, and you will be like light years ahead of everybody else in the industry.
I love it, man. You're just preaching our language. I always, another thing you'll like this, I always say, like, get the staying power, like have the ability to stay in the business, because there's always something right around that corner that could change your life.
So quick story. Good buddy of mine, his name's Chad. Now he's a good buddy. I didn't know him from Adam in January of 2019 when I first met him. So I've known him for almost 3 years. And he came out to one of my kind of coaching events, sat in the front row, took a ton of notes, was a broker, and wanted to do more on the investment side. And dude, he just implemented a team of a couple brokers in his office, and they just hunted for deals. And for the first 12 months, he did not close a single transaction, right? He's putting money towards it. He's putting resources towards it. He's doing all the activities that I told him to do. And he's just, dude, he couldn't find a deal. You don't have it. Well, before I go down that road, month 13, he closed a 105 unit apartment building. Month 14, he closed a 264 unit apartment building. Month 15, he closed another 50 unit apartment building. Month, I think 18-ish, he closed another 128. The next month, he closed another 68, 72, something like that units. In 18 months, he picked up over 500 units. What happens if he said, I'm only going to dedicate 12 months to this? Right. 12 months, if I don't close a deal, I'm out. I'm going to go back to doing what I was already doing. Right before he turned the corner, what if he quit? And all he had to do is take one more step, one more month in, turn the corner, and his life has changed forever. Right? Think about that, dude. you got to give it 3 years. You got to give it 3 years and just do the activities, and everything's changed for them now. It's amazing to see it happen.
No, we get it. We have people that want to give us 2 weeks to see if it's going to work out or not.
Not interested, right? That's really why I don't teach newbies, dude, because they just don't get it. And I don't have the patience to go through like the learning curves. I'd be like, dude, go and listen to Tony Robbins for the next 6 months, and then you can come back to me. Go and listen to Jim Rohn for the next 6 months, and then come back to me. You got to work on your mindset before I can teach you anything on the technical side of things.
I'm glad you said that, because like that's what he says. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to, if anyone can show them how this works in 2 weeks, I can do it. And it never freaking works.
Dude, you want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
I do. Because we care. Because
we give a shit, right? That's what makes you a great coach.
Yeah. Well, this can change people's life. We say this, within real estate, there are opportunities for everyone, regardless of your gender, your race, whatever. There's an opportunity for you. Mm-hmm. And I've never put it that way, but it's great to hear that. 3 years. I like that a lot.
3 years minimum.
It's true. I mean, when I was first starting out, we made 60 offers a day for probably 12 months without getting anything. But that didn't, prevent us from moving forward. And then the following 4 months after those first 12 months, we closed, 4 or 5 deals in just a couple of months.
I love it.
Well, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, I love it. So keep doing what you guys are doing. You guys are rock stars, and
appreciate
I got a ton of respect for what you got going on. And dude, like just the education and the amount of content and stuff that you guys are putting out there is amazing. You guys are making a big impact. So keep doing what you're doing. You guys are leaders of leaders. So appreciate you.
Means a lot, man. What are best ways people can reach out to you, or they just follow you on Instagram, stuff like that? Or
Instagram, Facebook. I'm very active on those, and shoot me a message if I can connect you guys with a resource or point you in the right direction. Don't hesitate to reach out there. And I mean, that's really my business card. I don't take business cards. People are like, dude, you got a business card? I was like, no. Hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Facebook. Yeah. And I think that's the ultimate business card, right? Like they can see what you're all about, and you can build that trust, you can build that respect right there. So yeah, hit me up there. And if you guys have any interest in connecting and, buying deals, selling deals, whatever, that's the best place to find me.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you a lot, man. Great advice for everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Real Estate Podcast. We appreciate y'all listening. Tim, have a great day, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.